Hey everybody, this is Joe here today with a video tutorial on the GV Cloud Access Control solution. For today's video, I would like to discuss how to create access rules or schedules for users and how to assign those schedules to your users. Now, within the GV Cloud Access Control webpage, there's actually a couple ways that you can go about that, and I do want to show both of them. The first option would be to go in and create a new user and then add a access rule on the fly to that user. Or if you're setting up a GV Cloud Access Control scenario for multiple employees and a lot of those employees are going to share the same schedule, it might be a good idea to go ahead and start right here on the left on the Access Rule tab, to where you create a common set of access rules that a lot of people will utilize, and then you can start applying those to people. So I'm going to start there for today's video, and then we'll go into how to just make a access rule on the fly when you add in a new employee. So first thing you would do is on the left side of the screen, you'll go ahead and click on Access Rule. And you'll notice over here on the left, we have several rules that have already been created for this site. But what we can do is we can hit the plus sign right here, Add Access Rule. And this is where you have the ability to go ahead and name that rule and also choose what region you assign that rule to. Now, if you're a little bit newer to GV Cloud, a region, you can think of that as a site. So if you are a business that has multiple locations, let's say you have one in Los Angeles, one in Indianapolis, one in Chicago, for example, you could have each of those locations listed out as a region, and then you can create access rules for each of those regions. So the first thing, once you click the plus sign, that you'll do is click the drop down under region and choose which region you want to assign this access control rule to. And then we're going to go ahead and name the access rule. I'm going to call this employees. Down here on the left, you now have a list of all the doors in that region. And let's say, for example, we're only going to give employees access to these two doors right here. We will then go ahead and check the doors that we're interested in. And then over on the right, we're going to start looking about making the particular hours of the day and what days of the week that person can have access. Now, there's a couple ways that you can go about this. Over here on the right, we have a convenient feature called work time, which is basically like a generic 8 a.m. to 1700 schedule. If you want to utilize that, you can click the apply and it'll assign it. Or before you hit apply, if you want, you can click here and you can actually edit it right here. So let's say you wanted to make it 9 a.m. to 1700 or whatever you want to do, you can actually edit that. And then you hit apply, and now it will apply that schedule Monday through Friday. So it's just kind of a quick add right there. You can clear it by hitting right here, all denied, and you're back to a blank slate. You can also hit all granted, and this gives that person the ability to access that door 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and even on holidays. So I'm not going to do that for this particular access rule, but what I'm going to do is show you how to manually create an access rule. And you can just put your cursor right here on the timeline for the day of the week that you want to assign it to. You click and hold and drag, and then you'll go all the way to the end of the time that you want. And then there's even a copy as well as a paste option right here. So you can just quickly apply those to the days of the week that you want to assign them to. All right, so we have our Monday through Friday schedule set here. Let's say on weekends they get a shorter duration. Maybe they only get 8 a.m. to noon. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that for Sunday as well as Saturday. So you can see those apply there. Now, down below, you can also choose what happens on a holiday. Let's say, for example, on holidays, the business is closed until a little bit later. It doesn't open until noon, and maybe it's only open until 1600. So it's a short day, and you do still want your employees to have access, but for a different schedule. So you can go in and you can, go ahead and choose that time frame right there for national holidays. Or if you want to create a custom day, you can click the plus sign, and then you can even choose which custom day that you made. Now, this will require going over into the left side of the screen under the special day category and give some names to the custom days and then, designate them on the calendar. But there is the ability to create special schedules for those days. So we'll go ahead and hit save once we have that rule created. And now we can apply this schedule to a user. So if we want to create a user and give that person a card and a schedule, we're going to go to user list right here. And you can see at first, it does go ahead and populate all of my users that are already in the system. Here's mine. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and I'm going to just assign myself a new credential and then add that access rule to that credential. So right here, the plus sign, if I click on the plus sign right next to the little key icon, the first thing that you'll need to do is either assign your card number, at which you would click here and type it in, or you can click the drop down, and if you want to do like a pin code or a passcode, you can enter a 5 to 8 digit number right there. So I'm going to just type in a random weekend access control card number right there. And then if you want, you can make it a temporary card with the activation and deactivation buttons right here. So you can choose what days and time those are valid for. And if you don't want to do a temporary card, you would just leave these blank and it will stay active indefinitely until you cancel it. And then the other thing that you can do would be to come right down here to access rule and click the drop down. And now if we come down to the California region, you can see right there the access rule that we created. So I can go ahead and click on that. And as you can see, it's assigned that access rule to me. Now, you actually do have the ability to add multiple access rules to the same user. So let's say that you create access rules for like different doors, and those doors have their own unique schedule. You have the ability to create these custom combinations here where you're adding a different access rule, to the same person. Now, the other option that you have is to create an access rule on the fly with the little plus button over here. So you can go ahead and click on that. And let's say that you want to be still in the California region, and this time you're only going to select these two doors. We're going to go ahead and give it a name. We'll call this one Sales Department. And then just for simplicity, I am going to do the work time schedule for Monday through Friday. We'll hit save right there. And then we can go in under our drop down, and now you can see our sales department schedule is right there. And we can go ahead and save that to this user. Now, one very last thing that's a good idea to go ahead and do is once you get your schedules created, your access rules created, and you assign them to a user, come back to the monitoring tab and hit the sync all devices button. Make sure all your devices are checked and then hit sync, and it will push all those updates to the system. This has been a demo tutorial video on the GV Cloud Access Control solution and how to create an access rule. For further information on our product line, please check us out at www.geovision.com.tw/US. Thanks a lot for watching.